You're listening to the Cyberwire Network, powered by N2K.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to N2K Cyberwire's Hacking Humans podcast, where each week we look behind the social engineering scams, phishing schemes, and criminal exploits that are making headlines and taking a heavy toll on organizations around the world. I'm Dave Bittner, and joining me is my co-host Joe Kerrigan. Hey there, Joe.
Hi, Dave.
And our N2K colleague and host of the T-Minus Space Daily podcast, Maria Vermasis. Hello, Maria.
Hello, hello.
We've got some good stories to share this week, and we'll be right back after this message from our show sponsor. And now, a few thoughts from our sponsors at ThreatLocker. The tactics used by cyber criminals are becoming more and more advanced every day. The shift from a default allow approach to a default deny is more critical than ever. This is where ThreatLocker comes in. Stay tuned for how ThreatLocker allow listing and ring fencing has your back. All right, let's jump right into some follow-up here. Joe, you want to take the honors here with this message?
Sure. This is from Kaylee, who says, I wanted to thank Maria and follow up on the request regarding the toll scams from last week's episode. Thank you for including my last email on your live show in Orlando, which I missed, a few weeks
Sorry,
ago.
Joe.
It's all right.
I'm still bitter.
I am. I wish I could have gone to Orlando.
Yeah. Well,
Next time.
it was
Yes.
awesome.
I'll bet. It was cool to hear my name on the episode. Well, here you go again, Kaylee. It's going to be on the episode again.
Yeah.
You were asking about the toll scam. I am an active duty naval officer living in Virginia. I have an Easy Pass that I use every day. However, my permanent residence is in Florida. Now, if you're active duty military, you are not required to change your driver's license.
Right.
Okay.
When you change residence. You
Oh.
can keep whatever state you live in. Like if you, in Maryland, you have to change your driver's license within 30 days of moving into the state. You have to have but if you're military, you do not have to do that.
Okay.
So she is a permanent resident of Florida. I have a Florida driver's license and phone number. The toll scams I receive are not from my own Easy Pass, but from the Florida version, the Sun Pass. This is interesting. I know this toll program from growing up and seeing the Sun Pass lanes. My family did have one at one point, but it was never under my name. I believe they are using my Florida phone number as for the scam, since I haven't lived in Florida since 2018. I would include the text message, but I always delete them immediately and just mark as spam, which is a good practice, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do the same.
Seems the scammers haven't figured out who actually has the toll passes. Just phone numbers, and I hope this helps your investigation. So,
Thanks, Kaylee.
yeah, that is interesting. What is interesting is I would like to know if Kaylee is getting these when she uses a toll road.
Yeah.
Like if Kaylee gets on an Easy Pass toll road, does she get a Sun Pass text message?
Right. Right.
I'd like to know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
So, Kaylee, if you're listening,
Here's
us
another
know.
opportunity for you to hear your name on the show again.
I'm still getting the Easy Pass spam, and I've been every time we're on the show, it changes its iteration. And now I'm
Okay.
getting a really lazy one. I included it in the script for you both to look at it, but for our listeners, it's just an image of the text now that says your vehicle has an unpaid toll with a bunch of just garbage letters afterwards and a link that I don't want to know if it works or not, but it doesn't look like a real link. So I don't know. It's evolving into something just really messy and strange now. I can tell you that I have not received it after going on a toll road. I've been getting them at really random times, but that's
Me
just
too.
anecdata from me personally.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, very interesting. And we continue to gather little pieces of this puzzle. So, Kaylee, we appreciate you writing in. And to our listeners, if there's some particular piece of the puzzle that you believe you have, you can write us. It's hackinghumans@n2k.com. All right, let's jump right into our stories here. I have a story from the folks over at Palo Alto Networks, very well-known cybersecurity company. Their research team is called Unit 42. And yes, it is a homage to Hitchhiker's Guide.
Excellent.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I know that because our former CyberWire colleague, Rick Howard, who has since retired, but Rick started Unit 42
and he named it after The Hitchhiker's Guide.
Ah.
So I have it on first account.
First-hand knowledge.
First-hand knowledge. That's right. That's
Excellent.
where it comes from. All right. So they recently did some research about some fraud that was going on crypto platforms. So they've uncovered this large-scale operation that involves thousands of fraudulent cryptocurrency investment platforms. And the scams are cleverly designed to mimic well-known brands, cryptocurrency exchanges, and even like back during the Paris Olympics, they were using the branding of the Paris Olympics to lure unsuspecting victims in. So what they do, they develop both websites and Android apps for these fake investment platforms. Now, what's interesting is the apps are not available on the official app stores, and Palo Alto speculates that this is likely to avoid detection and removal, so they don't have to go through app review. So once users are drawn in, they're enticed with promises of extraordinarily high returns on their investments. One scheme offers a daily return of $3 on an $11 investment. That is a 27% daily return, which compounds to an annual ROI of over 2,600%.
Right.
Jeez.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Palo Alto says, these figures are not just unrealistic, they're downright impossible.
Right.
Yes.
So these operations are primarily targeting individuals in East Africa and Asia so far. They're utilizing Telegram groups to communicate with their victims. And there seems like they're trying to foster a sense of community along with legitimacy. Palo Alto says these are very similar to Ponzi schemes, encouraging people to recruit each other through multi-level affiliate programs. From a tech point of view, they're finding consistency in the website and app design, which suggests the use of a toolkit,
Right.
which lets them create these platforms really quickly. And they say the domains associated with the scams are predominantly registered in Singapore, often through registrars with lenient policies. Shocker, right?
Yeah. I got to find out who these people are, these
These
registrars.
lenient Why? You
Yes.
have some domains you want to register and you don't
Yeah, I
want people
do.
to
Yeah.
follow up on?
That's right.
For chicken business, or what are you doing,
Chicken
Joe?
business,
That's right.
Chicken business. All right.
His black market egg business.
Yeah, that's good money right now.
That's right. Yeah, well, now's the time. Palo Alto says to further obscure their operations, they're using free HTTPS certificates, and they're using domain fronting via popular public cloud services, which makes it hard to track where they're actually coming from.
Interesting.
So the bottom line here is Palo Alto is saying, if you're going to invest in cryptocurrency, be vigilant,
Right.
be careful. There's so much scamming going on in crypto, which is not to say that it's completely useless, but I'd say the ratio of scams to legitimate businesses is out of whack and certainly makes me shy away from it.
Absolutely.
I suppose probably both of you feel the same way.
I have crypto. I keep some crypto.
Yeah.
I have some in my own personal wallet.
Okay.
And then I also have some in an exchange.
Okay.
But it's not a lot,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I've never dipped my toes in that world. Have you had any curiosity, Maria?
I think I've mentioned this a few times. I have family members who are very, very into crypto. So I actually
Oh,
received,
right.
yeah, I've received money, crypto specifically for my wedding and the birth of my child. And it was like, oh, that's very nice. And I actually received the money for my daughter on an OpenDime USB wallet. It was really fascinating to learn about all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I pretty much immediately cashed out. I was like, you know what? This is really cool. Like the geek in me is kind of fascinated to learn more about this.
Right.
But I'm when it comes to my finances, I'm sort of like, I don't want to be doing too much work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah. So I'm just
Right.
like, yeah, I'm good. Thanks. I'll just make this something I can understand more easily and let it be. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, this is an interesting bit of research here, again, from the folks at Palo Alto Network's Unit 42. So we will have a link to that in the show notes. That's my story for this week. Maria, you're up next. What do you got for us?
Well, I was a little conflicted about doing this story. It's a gold bar scam, and we've covered them a lot. But I think the reason this one is hitting home for me is because it quite literally is in my backyard. It's in Newton, Massachusetts. And this was a 72-year-old woman who was just scammed out of an unbelievable amount of money. And this scam just happened in the last 2 months. So as much as we talk about them on the show, I think the broader public, this message has not really gotten through yet. So if anything, please talk to your families about this, people who are listening, because clearly there's a lot more work to be done. So here's the story. This started actually this past December. The victim in this case, she received a call, as we've often heard, someone pretending to be a DEA agent. And they told the victim that there were 22 fraudulent bank accounts in her name, totaling $2 million in illegal drug transactions. This should all sound very familiar to our listeners. She understandably denied that these were hers. So the agents very helpfully came up with a solution because they wanted to be helpers, right? That's great. And they said the solution to stop this ID theft in progress was for her to transfer all of her assets to the U.S. Treasury for safekeeping.
Now,
and then
hold on.
she, and then she would be given, I know, and then she would be given Treasury checks to secure what she had transferred. So it's like, we'll hang on to it for you, and we'll give you these checks as sort of a guarantee that this is real. So, there's definitely no scam here. And of course, just in case that wasn't enough, there was also a threat that if she didn't do all this, she'd be arrested by the FBI. So,
right, there's
yeah.
the fear.
There's the fear. So it's like they're going to help you, but also you have to do this. So you don't have an out. And then there was, as we've often talked about on the show, there was a second caller. There was a second scammer that followed up with her, posing in this case as a U.S. Treasury case manager, who then convinced her to convert her money into gold bars as part of the whole asset securing scheme, after which her social security number would be changed. Yay, because her previous one had been used in ID theft, right? And her money would be given back and all would be well. So over the next month, she did as she had been instructed. She drained her retirement funds entirely. And again, she's 72, so she needs this money right now.
Right.
And she bought and personally delivered 15 gold bars worth over $430,000 to couriers. And she also wired nearly $50,000 to a scammer's bank account directly. And all in all, back of the napkin math, she lost nearly $500,000 in this scam.
Awful.
Wow.
Just in the last 3 months. And to keep the scam going and to make sure that the victim didn't have any doubts that this was a scam or that it wasn't a scam. Yeah, that it wasn't a scam. The scammers also sent her fake images of the supposed treasury checks that were guaranteeing that her money was safe. Saying like, here it is, it's legit. Here are those checks that are guaranteeing you. So by chance, the victim's family found out about this and they thankfully immediately contacted law enforcement. Investigators set up a sting with an undercover officer posing at the victim, arranging a fake gold delivery. We've heard a lot of stories like this before. And it ends up that a 23-year-old from Queens, New York named Vishal Kumar showed up to collect the package of gold bars, confirmed the secret code word, and was arrested on the spot. And just for insult to injury, the U.S. Secret Service confirmed that the treasury checks were counterfeit. So the suspicion is that Kumar was definitely not acting alone. There were probably a bunch of other co-conspirators he worked with. He has been himself indicted on multiple charges by the Middlesex County DA, including extortion and conspiracy. And right now he's being held in lieu of $500,000 of bail, considering he probably had access to at least that much money. So yeah, I heard this story and my heart broke because, again, we've covered these kind of gold bar scams a lot. And I know we sort of chuckle like, oh my gosh, how does anyone fall for this? But gold bars right now are also a lot in the news as a place to sort of park your money with all the market inconsistency and uncertainty. So I think this is definitely like, please talk to your families about this one because I think a lot of people are going to be falling for this even more than usual. So this one's $500,000. My God.
When I see those gold commercials on TV, I immediately think it's time to sell gold, not buy it. If you hold gold, it's time to sell it and cash in, because I've got this deeply seated suspicion about things. Like, nobody wants to sell you gold for your benefit. They want to sell it to you for their benefit. So when do you sell for your benefit? When it's high and you think it's going to go down. So if you can convince somebody to buy the gold when it's high and then it goes down, and then you can buy the gold back with your with the money you got, and you buy more gold.
It's a pump and dump scheme.
It's almost like a pump and dump scheme.
That's what it is. Yeah, I mean, and we're hearing a lot of chatter about gold right now again. So a lot of people are looking into it for all sorts of fear, uncertainty, and doubt type of reasons. Those are not related to this kind of a scam. This is a totally different thing. But I just think gold is on a lot of people's mind. It goes cyclically, doesn't it? Because I remember
it does.
some years ago there was this whole thing about gold all over again. So
it happens every couple of years.
10 years
Anytime
or
the
so.
market gets volatile, people go,
Yeah.
"Oh, you should buy gold now."
Yep.
I just did a Google search for where does one buy gold bars, because I have no idea where to buy a gold bar.
On the interwebs.
Do either of you have any idea where to buy a gold bar?
No clue. What does the Google
I would
search
hope
say?
that the search engine, if it was half responsible, would say, maybe don't do this because you're probably being scammed, but that's asking too much.
Well, so the first result was buy gold bars online from JM Bullion.
I'm not buying gold bars online.
JM Bullion. I trust that
next
name
was
implicitly.
Gold bars for sale. This was, you can buy gold bars over the phone through U.S. Money Reserve's website. So U.S. Money Reserve. That sounds familiar. Or official, rather.
How does every one of these, is there one that doesn't sound like it's just a total scam?
Well, I will say to Google, I'll give Google partial credit on this because the second link in the list is actually from CBS News.
Okay.
And it says where to buy gold bars and coins. And it says some banks have them. There are there are precious metal retailers. You can get them.
See, here's another one of my concerns.
Yeah.
How do you know that when you go to some of these places and you buy a bar of gold that you're actually getting what you're paying for?
Right.
Let's assume that you're going to get a good deal on the gold. It's going to be market price plus 0.1%, right? That's the precious metal dealer's guide. How do you know that what is stamped on that gold bar is factual?
You bite it.
You bite
Right?
You bite it. Yeah, exactly.
That's what everybody does.
Like
right?
Yukon Cornelius.
Right.
Well, yes, I was
Foolproof.
coming at it from a slightly different point of view, which is that I would have no idea, because I know nothing about gold and I know nothing about how buying and selling gold works, that I would be walking into any of these transactions with a huge sign on my forehead that says sucker.
Right.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Rip
Because
me off.
I don't know any of the questions to ask. I don't know. They'd say, oh, well, we have to add on this service fee. And I'd be like, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Gold's supposed to sound like this when you drop it on the table. That's how you know it's
Right.
real. I mean, how would you
Right.
know if that's true or not? Yeah.
I
No,
wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I feel like it's a lot like, buying or selling anything you don't know anything about. I'd feel the same way about jewelry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
know,
I feel that way
brings up,
about crypto.
Right. Crypto. There you go. Perfect. Yeah.
That brings up a conversation my father-in-law and my wife and I had one time when my wife was selling jewelry. She said that they can't put a stamp on it for a different carat weight than the gold actually is. So if you're buying 14 karat gold, it has to be 14 karat gold. And if it's stamped 14 karat gold, you can have faith that it's 14 karat gold because they can't stamp it without any other way.
They being the licensed dealer of jewelry.
Well, we don't know who they are. And my father-in-law and I looked at each other and were like, yeah, sure they can. Anybody can do it. I can go out and make a stamp that says 24 karat gold and put it on any piece of metal I want.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, I absolutely
Watch
can
me.
do that. Yeah.
Who's going to stop you?
Get me a bar of gold and a blowtorch.
Right.
Watch me work.
My father-in-law and I both had that adversarial hacker way of thinking. And my
Right.
wife was like, no, this is the system. I'm like,
Yeah.
we'll break the system. We'll break it.
Right.
So, yeah, I trust gold. I mean, I guess I don't trust gold less than I trust crypto, but I really don't know how I would trust that I'm buying a real bar of gold, not something filled with some lead or some other lead and something else that would weigh the same amount as a bar of gold.
Right.
Right.
And there's this thing called
Electroplated
pyrite.
lead.
Pyrite. Yeah.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do I know I'm actually getting gold and not something that looks like gold?
This story goes back hundreds of years.
Hundreds of
I
years,
mean,
right.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What's old is new again.
That's right. All right. Well, we'll have a link to that story in the show notes. I mean, I guess the hope here is that since they did nab a bad guy, that maybe there's a slim chance that she gets some of her money back. Here's hoping.
Yeah.
Here's
Maybe he
hoping.
can. Maybe
Yeah.
they can get him to sing a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I just in case people don't know that the place that she's from, it's considered a very wealthy, educated town. So to me, this is like a classic example of, really anybody can fall victim
Anybody
to
can
this.
fall for it.
Right. 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 It's a banana. How much could it possibly cost?
$10?
$10.
Oh, my goodness.
We've all seen
right.
the show.
We're gonna,
It's like one of my absolute favorite shows. Joe.
It's a great show.
we're going to take a quick break here, but hear a message from our sponsor before we get to our next story. We'll be right back.
So let's return to our sponsor, ThreatLocker. ThreatLocker is a zero-trust endpoint protection platform that strengthens your infrastructure from the ground up. Where traditional cybersecurity tools require you to create a list of things you don't want to run, ThreatLocker enables you to easily curate an allow list of everything you need in your environment and network, and block everything else by default. With ThreatLocker allow listing and ring fencing, you gain a more secure approach to blocking exploits of known and unknown vulnerabilities. ThreatLocker provides zero-trust control at the kernel level that enables you to allow everything you need and block everything else, including ransomware. The ThreatLocker Zero Trust Endpoint Protection Platform deploys in a learning mode that analyzes the operations of your company using machine learning to assist you in developing your allow list for approved applications, what they can do on the endpoint, what can interact with your data, and even east and west network traffic. We thank ThreatLocker for sponsoring our show.
All right, we are back. And Joe, it is your turn. What do you got for us?
So the first thing I wanted to talk about was I saw an ad on Facebook that was that caught my attention. It was an AI ad with Kelly Clarkson.
Oh.
And apparently Kelly Clarkson has lost weight recently. And this ad was capitalizing on that. And they had fake interviews of Kelly Clarkson. And I noticed it was AI because of the cadence of the speaking. I'm like, this is obviously, and I don't know what Kelly Clarkson sounds like, but she's interviewing with Whoopi Goldberg. And I do know what Whoopi Goldberg sounds like. It sounds just like Whoopi Goldberg. And they're talking, but in this video, in this video, Kelly Clarkson has the sentence, and it's obviously not Kelly Clarkson. She says, "When I had all that weight and I was unattractive," which I thought, I don't think anybody would say that about themselves, especially not someone who's famous. And it was just, I was just like, this sounds like it was written by someone whose native language is not English. And it was, I mean, there are all kinds of different tells about this. But I watched that ad for probably about 45 seconds. I was engrossed.
Because it was AI slop and you just
Because it was
couldn't look
AI
away.
slop, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't look away.
Yeah.
So they got me with that.
Right.
They got you. Joe.
Anyway, my story actually comes from Carla Basu at the BBC. That's the British Broadcasting Corporation. And this was a new one for me. It's called a whiskey cask scam. Do you like whiskey, Dave?
I do.
What kind of whiskey is your favorite?
Oh, I would say if I'm going to casually enjoy some whiskey, I will pour myself a couple fingers of Maker's Mark.
Maker's Mark, that's a bourbon.
Oh.
That's a whiskey. Bourbon is a whiskey.
Okay.
So, yep, that's right. So apparently, in the UK, you can buy a cask of whiskey when it's been made.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you will sell it after it's aged for anywhere for at least 3 years. So in this one, they're talking particularly about Scotch, because in order for something to be considered Scotch, it has to be aged in a barrel for at least 3 years.
Yep. But they call it whiskey. They don't call it Scotch.
The Scotch call it whiskey.
No, they call
Scotch.
it whiskey. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We
The
call
Chinese call Chinese food.
Right.
Food.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah. They call it whiskey.
But here in America, we call it Scotch.
Yeah.
My son-in-law is a big fan of the Islay Scotches, the really peaty ones.
Okay.
And I like
Islay?
them. Pretty good. Islay. Is that what it is? I thought it was Isla.
You know what? I think I'm going to be kicked out of Scotland. I honeymooned in Scotland because I love whiskey so much. So
Okay.
Wow. Okay. New
that was-
detail dropped on Maria. All right. Very good.
Yes, didn't do the beach because I'm from Greece, so it doesn't make sense. I went to Scotland instead.
Well, one of the victims in this story, her name is Allison Cox, Cocks. And she was initially, she bought a single whiskey cask for 3,000 pounds. And everything appears to be legitimate. Now, if I'm going to buy a cask, the first thing I want to know is what kind of cask are you buying? This is Joe talking here
Mhm.
because I did some research and casks come in multiple sizes. Like there's a pin, a firkin, a kilderkin, a barrel, hogshead, butt, and ton. So when you hear the term butt ton, that's actually referring to cask sizes.
No,
You have
it's
a butt ton of
not.
beer. It is.
No,
I'm
there's
not.
no way.
I am not joking with you. I know that ton is like the biggest container of things because like when you go into a brewery, they have like the mash ton and the bright ton.
Right.
And,
Yep.
and that's 216 gallons. But a butt is 108 gallons. And then a hogshead is 54 gallons. And a barrel is only 36 gallons, which is different from a barrel of oil,
What
which
about
is
a
45
fathom?
gallon.
Just kidding. I don't know.
Fathom.
I'm just throwing.
That's a measure of depth.
I'm just throwing just words out.
I know. Anyway, it doesn't ever say in this article what size of cask people were buying. So I don't know if $3,000 is a good deal or not, but I did a little poking around and you can buy a 55-gallon drum of ethyl alcohol here in the U.S. from a chemical supply company, and it will cost you around $3,000.
Okay. And that'll be one heck of a
Slight
party.
difference.
Right.
Slight difference.
It's not that much of a difference, actually.
Well, art and science there, man. I mean,
Right.
honestly.
So if you wanted to make vodka, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the vodkas out there, you could just buy this alcohol, cut it down from 95% alcohol by volume down to 40%, put it on a shelf as vodka, because vodka's not aged. Whiskey, it's all about the process, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right, Maria. Like making Scotch whiskey is going to be, you're not going to make Scotch out of this alcohol you get from the science lab.
I would like to see someone try, but I would not drink it.
So
Because I like my, to not be dead.
Right. You like having your vision.
Yes.
You're right. Yeah. The price of Miss Cox's original cask was 3,000 pounds, and she was given certificates, and the company provided an online portal where she could track her investment, and her portfolio seemed to grow, at least on paper.
So let me understand here. So she bought a cask, but the cask stayed at the facility?
You don't take delivery of it. They give you a place where it is and a number on it.
Okay.
Right.
I'm with you. All
And,
right.
Okay.
She then proceeded to buy 3 more casks for around 100,000 pounds. And when she said, okay, I think I've made enough money here, I want to start selling, that's when these people stopped talking to her. They were avoiding her telephone calls, and she said she was really panicking. So she starts doing some investigation of her cask. And on one of her certificates, it says an address of where the cask is stored, allegedly. So she contacts the warehouse, and they say, no, your casks are not here. She was told by independent whiskey valuers, apparently that is a job that you can have, that she paid 5 times what the barrels were actually worth. So one of these barrels she paid $49,500 for, or pounds, 49,500 pounds. And she found out that cask actually does not exist. This is a scam being run by this guy that calls himself Craig Arch. But the BBC investigated and found out his name is actually Craig Brooks, who in 2019, he and his brother were jailed for a $6.2 million fraud where 350 victims were cold called and convinced to invest in carbon credits or rare earth metals. So this guy has been doing this for a long time. Now, I've never understood the idea of buying and trading carbon credits. Never got it. I mean, the rare earth metals, I think, I don't understand how you'd pitch that as an investment idea unless you're saying we're going to be mining metal. But I'll tell you, I've invested in a couple mining companies and it's never worked out for me. I still have some of the shares, but they're almost worthless.
You're underground on the mining companies.
I am. That's right. So whenever somebody says, "Hey, I got some mining idea," I'm like, I don't even want to hear it. I just been burned, 3 or 4 times. Not for a lot of money, fortunately, but it's it's still something that sits with me.
Yeah.
But anyway, this guy Brooks has been in the UK. He has been disqualified, which means he can no longer. He's a disqualified director, which means it's illegal for him to run a company. But he's running this company. And so he's out there scamming people out of their money by pitching this these whiskey barrels. There's a point in this story where they interview a guy that runs one of these. Has a warehouse, a bonded warehouse, and he goes, I get calls every day for people looking for their barrels, saying that they've bought them from some scammer and the barrels aren't here.
Yeah.
Sometimes the
Oh.
barrels are sold multiple times, right? So like 5 people will get the same certificate for the same barrel, which kind of reminds me of the producer scam, but it's not like that
Yeah.
because that at least would work if the show actually failed. But these are actually you're selling the same thing to multiple people. That's just fraud, right?
Right. And
It's-
well, but also you're selling multiple things that don't exist to people.
Right. Well, sometimes they do exist,
Oh, I see.
and they're but they're selling them 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you're right. Sometimes they just don't exist.
Yeah.
They're not
Wow.
real at all. And then, of course, they interview somebody here who is like Kenny McDonald, who is a legitimate whiskey cash broker, says that there were other good guys operating in the industry, but now it looks like there's a huge amount of people that are just profiteering from this, which is unfortunate. Who I feel for is the people in the story who have lost money. They're the ones that have really, really suffered. They have a terrible story in here about a woman who's has terminal cancer, and she's invested a lot of her money with this, and it's all essentially gone.
Oh my
So-
God.
I hope they take this guy and do the most British thing they can with him, whatever that is. This Brooks guy, if he's guilty, of course, it's all alleged, right?
Yeah.
He's innocent until proven guilty, even in England. So, so that's my cheery uppy story today.
Wow.
I had a vague recollection that you could buy a barrel of whiskey from Jack Daniels, and I'm just poking around here, and sure enough, you can.
Is it like you're buying the actual barrel from the distiller, from the actual company?
Oh no, it doesn't. It says, all right, so it says, can anyone purchase a barrel? And it says the single barrel personal collection program is available to those of legal age in most markets around the world. And then it says, do I get an actual barrel? It says no.
No.
Though you will receive a barrel head to commemorate your purchase.
Okay.
As an optional, okay. Editors, Jack Daniels. As an option, oh, no, they're actually right. As an optional additional purchase, you may have a barrel shipped to you from our Lynchburg hardware store. Okay. So I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that sounds like you're just buying a bunch of whiskey, and then
Right,
then you
exactly.
can buy a barrel, and you can say, "Hey, I bought all this," and it sounds like Jack Daniels was just trying to capitalize on their name.
Yeah. If I wanted to buy a barrel of whiskey, I want the barrel. Like,
Right.
So I want some guy with a dolly to pull.
Yeah, load it up.
Show up at your house,
Right, exactly. And say, where do you want this? And
Right.
I'll say, right here.
right here, right next to where I sit.
Yeah, we're going to tap this baby right here. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand this. Like, why?
Because
What am I missing?
I get it. Here's the thing. What gets me about this is the business model for a lot of distilleries, right? I'm going to make a barrel of ethyl. I'm going to make a bunch of ethyl alcohol with some process, and I'm going to dilute it with water and store it in a warehouse for a number of years, and then I'm going to sell that.
Yeah.
Why would I sell it for £3,000, $6,000, whatever, when I first made it, and let somebody else take the profits when I'm still going to have to be storing it and everything?
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
I don't. Yeah, I'm
I
sure
think
somebody can
it's-
explain this, but
I think
Right.
it's probably just that you can spin up a plausible story. People know that exotic drinks have value. People think that they're kind of hoity-toity. They know that they take time.
Right.
So you have a time element here where you can say to someone plausibly, listen, this is an investment. We're going to keep your money for X amount of time. And when it's done, you're going to make this much profit. And so they take the money and they run.
Yeah.
But the person they take the money from, because there's this time component, they're not expecting their money back anytime soon.
Right.
So by the time they start asking questions, presumably the scammer's long gone.
Yep.
That's my take on it.
I get how the scam works.
Yeah.
I get 100%. I mean, I see how the scam works. My question is, why are there actually legitimate versions of this?
That's my question too. But I'm looking at their website. I'm like, okay, I guess it's one of those not for me.
Like why does Jack Daniel's sell a barrel of its own whiskey?
Yeah.
Instead of just bottling it and selling it that way? That's got to be more profitable.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the why you would do this is you can auction it. So I guess if you feel like maybe this was a particularly good year, you can buy a cask as an investment and say, this is going to be worth a lot more once it's aged, I suppose.
That is a very speculative investment.
It sure is.
Right.
You can bottle it yourself. They can sell it for you. You can sell it privately. So some people, I can understand being like, I want to buy a cask and that way I can have this, to divvy up for my friends and family. But as an investment, I still don't really understand that.
No,
it just seems like there's way smarter ways to do this.
I get that 100%. The first use case you said, I could give away, in 10 years, I'll be able to give away nice bottles of whiskey that have my name on them.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I might spend $6,000 on that.
My grandfather was a big, having a bar in your house kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You guys this might be a little before your time, Maria, but back in the 70s, bars and club basements were a big thing.
Oh yeah.
The rumpus room. Oh yes.
Yeah, but like having a really so basically my grandfather had a bar in his basement that looked like any bar you could walk off a city street and walk into.
Yeah.
And so he
it
had
is still a thing. I know people with that. I have a small bar in my own home, but it's not like a full one, but I do have a little bar.
So this was a full bar and it was very fancy. And I could totally see him seeing the value in having a barrel of whiskey.
Right.
Maybe a half barrel. I don't know. One of those volumes that you described earlier, Joe.
That would be a Kilderkin.
Not a butt ton.
Not a butt ton.
No. But the whole point is that he would have something that not everyone else had.
Right.
That would be the appeal.
Yeah, but
Right.
for
To be
as an
able to
investment opportunity, that's the thing. I'm like, huh?
No,
Yeah.
no. This would just be bragging rights with his buddies,
Priceless.
pouring it right straight from the barrel, my man, straight from the barrel.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will have a link to these stories in the show notes. Joe and Maria, it is time to move on to our catch of the day.
Dave, our catch of the day comes from Connor, who has some interesting things to say. He says, I think Maria is a wonderful addition to the show. The three of you guys have great energy, which I would agree with.
Concur.
After the last several episodes, I had to Google what Joe looks like because all I was imagining was a middle-aged man with a massive backpack wearing a black cowboy hat with a golden lace Polish chicken nestled in his arm. Googling him did not help.
That sounds like a
Now
job
I-
for AI.
Right. Now I have to imagine Joe with a massive backpack wearing a black cowboy hat and with a golden lace Polish chicken nestled in his arm. So, the funny thing is, I asked my wife if she had any pictures of me with a chicken and a cowboy hat, and she did.
Yeah.
Actually, I've put it here in the script.
Yeah.
You can see this is a picture of me wearing a cowboy hat, holding a chicken.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's
wearing my
everything I
backpack.
imagine, Joe. It's
No.
just
The cowboy hat is white, not black.
You're actually
True.
wearing a Hacking Humans t-shirt.
You
which
are.
I think
Wearing
is a
my
nice
Hacking
touch.
Humans t-shirt.
it's just perfect in
This
every
is
way.
from this may have been from last year's county fair or the year before.
Uh-huh.
This is not a recent picture.
Okay.
So how Connor is thinking of me is kind of how I look in
Yeah.
real life.
No, that's it. Yeah.
That's not a Polish chicken, though.
It is not. It is not.
Okay.
Nobody would let me hold.
I've
any
learned a
Polish
little bit about
chickens.
chickens, Joe.
Yeah, I've never had the opportunity to hold a Polish chicken. I want to hold a Polish chicken.
One day.
Yes, one day. Maybe I'll just get a Polish chicken.
Well, how did you come to be holding this chicken? Did you
I
simply
was-
walk up and say, hello, sir, may I hold your chicken?
There was somebody working with their chicken. I think I don't remember this one, but somebody had the chicken
Yeah.
and they were letting people hold it at the
Okay.
fair. So I held
see.
the chicken.
You look
So
pretty
it's the-
happy about it.
The
I am
tame
pretty-
chicken for holding.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually sent this picture to Connor because Connor's email address.
Oh, that's nice.
I almost never respond to these email submissions,
Yeah.
but this one I did.
Oh,
I had to.
That's sweet. Very nice.
So
We need-
anyway,
we need somebody to Photoshop an impossible backpack on you,
yes.
right? Like one that you makes you fall backwards and be on the ground like an inverted turtle.
Yes. Kicking and screaming, but
Right.
still somehow
Right.
holding the chicken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Connor says, here's some content you might like for a catch of the day.
Mm-hmm.
This is an email that purports to come from the Social Security Administration, actually Social Security admin, and the email address is no reply at express.someotheraddress.com, which is not the Social Security email address. The subject is warning, don't ignore your Social Security statement.
Okay. Goes like this. We have an important update regarding your account. To review your latest statement, simply click the link below. Access your secure statement. Exclusive access. For security reasons, this link is best accessed via a desktop or laptop. Stay informed and in control of your financial future. Your latest statement contains essential details tailored just for you. We appreciate your trust in our services and are committed to providing you with the best support and transparency. For security reasons, this is an automated email. Kindly do not reply. This message brought to you by your trusted financial institution. And then it
It's
repeats 3 times.
3 times,
3 times.
So
which is weird.
the email shall repeat 3 times.
It shall not repeat twice unless it repeats a third time.
One is way off. It reminds me of have you ever gotten a voicemail that's
Yes.
just an endless looping kind
Yeah.
of thing? This
Yes.
is the
Yep.
email version of that.
Right.
I don't know
It
how
runs
that
out
would
of
happen,
tape.
though.
So it's weird that it repeats 3 times.
Yeah.
In the original message that Connor forwarded, above each iteration of this message was what looks like an image link or a placeholder that said, quote, trusted institution logo.
It actually says trusted institution logo.
Right. That's the word.
Yeah.
Whoops.
And which smacks to me that this is from a phishing kit somewhere.
Right.
Somebody's selling this, and
Gosh.
you're supposed to add the logo in there somehow. Also, what's interesting is that it says you should open this on a desktop or a laptop, which says that this is probably something that is exploiting some kind of vulnerability that will install malware on a Windows machine.
Indeed.
That's what it looks like to me. Don't do this on your actual phone where everybody does your computing now, except me. I actually still open up my laptop or desktop.
Yeah.
And the links actually go to some the address. These are actually, don't click on them, are active links.
I'm just looking at the URL. I'm not actually clicking on them.
Yeah, the URL is, if memory serves me right, it's vrcxx.com, which I looked up in the Whois database, and it's all obfuscated, so you can't see who it is. But they were registered. I want to say they were registered in Singapore, but I don't know if that's correct. Maybe I'm just remembering what you said earlier, Dave.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is very interesting. I think, if you're a U.S. citizen who's paid into Social Security, you do have a Social Security statement. You access that by going to ssa.gov.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you go, socialsecurityadministration.gov. And you'll have to create a, they're in the process of converting to a new government-wide identity management system. But I have like an old SSA account, so I still log in with that. I just haven't gotten the new government authorized or the new universal government ID for online activities.
All right. All right. Well, thanks to Connor for sending that in. We do appreciate it. And of course, we would love to hear from you. If there's something you'd like us to consider for the show, you can email us at hackinghumans@n2k.com.
And of course, we want to thank this week's sponsor, ThreatLocker. Go to threatlocker.com/HH and check out their Zero Trust Endpoint Protection Platform. That's the words threat and locker with no space.com/HH, where you can request a demo and neutralize the threat of malware running on your devices.
That is Hacking Humans, brought to you by N2K Cyberwire. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to hackinghumans@n2k.com. This episode is produced by Liz Stokes. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. We're mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester. Peter Kilpe is our publisher. I'm Dave Bittner.
I'm Joe Kerrigan.
And I'm Maria Varmazis.
Thanks for listening.